So if you own a 14 to 18 Silverado or Sierra with the 5.3 motor and you're looking for an exhaust system that's understated, retains the factory exit configuration, is one of the most well-built systems available, and provides a modest but very deep bump in volume, you should be checking out the MF Series Black Single Exhaust System from Magnaflow. At around the $900 price point, this is probably one of the most well-built systems in terms of overall fit and finish, while staying under the $1,000 price point. And as far as volume goes, you heard it in our sound clips, I'm going to give this thing a modest 3 out of 5 on my loudness meter. It definitely wakes up the sound of that 5.3 motor, but it doesn't go crazy, and it's definitely not going to wake your neighbors in the morning. And I'm also happy to say there's absolutely little to no drone inside the cab, which is certainly nice. A lot of exhaust systems do provide some amount of drone, but because you're keeping the factory exit configuration, you got that tailpipe dumping out the back here, and because of how well built that MF Series muffler is, you get all kinds of good volume and tone, but again, you don't get any drone or noise inside the cab. So this is a perfect option if you daily your truck and you want people to turn their heads, but you don't want to be annoyed by it after a while, right? Magnaflow decided to cut things down the middle there. They give the entire tailpipe that really nice black powder coat finish, which is awesome, because that's where you're going to develop a lot of rust and corrosion otherwise. Now, on that note, I'm also happy to say this is made out of factory grade 409 stainless, so even though the muffler and the mid pipes are not powder coated, and you're saving that money by the way, you still don't have to worry about that rust or corrosion anytime soon. I'm also happy to say this system bolts up with no cutting required. They do include an extension pipe in the kit, so you got yourself covered for every cab and bed length, so you don't even need any power tools to get this install done. I am going to give the install a modest 2 out of 3 wrenches on my difficulty meter. I'd say you can get this done at home in about 2 to 3 hours if you're taking your time. So again, if you want one of the most well-built and one of the deepest sounding exhausts for under the $1,000 price point, and you want to keep that factory exit configuration, go ahead and stick around. I'm going to show you guys what exact tools you need, and then I'll walk you through the install step by step. To install your catback, you'll need a standard drive ratchet with 13 and 15 millimeter sockets. Optional but helpful tools include some spray lubricant, a cordless impact, and an exhaust hanger puller tool. Alright, so obviously before we install our new system, we're going to remove our old one. Now there are 2 generally accepted ways of doing this. One way you can cut the system out piece by piece. We want to retain our factory system as one piece, so we're going to remove it as one piece. And in order to do that, you have to disconnect the factory mid pipe from the Y pipe. You're going to need a 13 millimeter socket to loosen this clamp. Alright, so once you got that clamp loosened, technically your factory exhaust is no longer connected to the vehicle. The next part is actually removing it from its rubber isolators. There are 4 in total, 1 in front of the muffler, 2 directly behind it, and 1 at the tailpipe. We're going to tackle 3 of those 4, and then I'll show you how to drop that last one so you can pull the entire factory catback out from underneath the truck as one piece. Alright, so once you got 3 of those 4 rubber isolators removed, you want to tackle the last one very carefully, because this is the last thing that's actually holding the catback to the truck physically. So again, spray it down with some lubricant, make it easy on yourself, get a hold of that hanger, gently pull it out from the rubber isolator, and what you want to do is let the tailpipe rest on the axle. Then you can push the entire system back towards the rear of the truck. You want to clear the cross member with the flex fitting up there, let that drop down, then you can push the entire system out from underneath the truck. It is a little bit heavy, so take your time with this. It's also helpful to have a friend with you. Alright, so we got our factory catback removed here. We got our new Magnaflow system sitting next to it. You can see some of the nice upgrades, some of the differences and similarities that matter. Obviously, the big star of the show is the really nice black powder coat finish on the tailpipe and the exhaust tip, which is welded together as one piece, makes the install a little bit easier, right? They also keep all the factory hanger locations, so you don't got to install any new rubber isolators, you don't got to cut any holes in the frame rails or anything like that. And it is measured for your cab and bed length, like I said earlier, so you get away with no cutting, as you can see here with the new mid pipe and the new extension pipe. Last thing to consider consider, like I said earlier, again, this is stainless steel, factory grade 409. It's not aluminized steel, so you don't got to worry about this thing rusting out on you. It will definitely last as long as your factory system would have if you decided to keep it. Other thing I like about this system, one last thing to consider here, is they do get rid of that resonator. This thing kills any volume that might escape out of the factory muffler, so that's where you get that nice deep, lopey idle, and that's also where you get a lot of that volume from. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get our new Magnaflow system installed. All right, so obviously the first step of our install is getting our new mid-pipe in place. You are going to be reusing that same clamp that we loosened earlier here, so you're going to need that 13mm socket to tighten that down. You want to tighten it enough that this stays in place, but you want to have it a little bit loose so you have a little bit of play in the pipe. It's going to make it easier to get the muffler and the tailpipe in place. At any rate, you're also going to want your spray lubricant. Spray down that first rubber isolator so you can get that first hanger in there. All right, now we're gonna throw our muffler in place. Before you do that, make sure you got a clamp on the end of the mid-pipe there, that we can tighten all this stuff down later. You can also ignore this hanger right here. This is for a different truck configuration, so it's not gonna be used in this install. Once you get the muffler in place on the mid-pipe, go ahead and spray down those rubber isolators for the factory muffler, and then throw your new hangers in place on the far end. All right, with our muffler in place, we can finally install our tailpipe. Again, make sure you got a clamp on the end of the muffler. You'll need to tighten that down later. Also, make sure you spray down that last rubber isolator for our last hanger. Now we can tighten down our clamps. For the clamps in the kit, you're gonna need a 15mm socket. All right, for this last clamp, you're gonna need to switch back to your 13mm socket. All right, so once you got all those clamps tightened down, that'll wrap up our install. And that also wraps up my review of the MF Series single exhaust system with the black powder coat finish from Magnaflow, fitting your 14-18 5.3 liter powered Silverado or Sierra. Keep it right here at AmericanTrucks.com.